Welcome to Toastmasters Pathways 101 Evaluation Forms. The topics we're going to be covering tonight are evaluation resources, which is actually just your evaluation form. We're going to talk about where to find them. The two places are, first of all, within your project, and I want to mention in this video, I'm assuming the basic knowledge already gained from my first two videos. The first one was first 4 questions, and then more importantly for this technical point, it's another one called completing a project. If you haven't watched one, or particularly the second one, please watch that prior to watching this, because we're going to just start right from your project in this case. The second place, which is more new information, is from what's called the Speech Evaluations tab. We're going to talk as well about how to fill out these forms and save them. A few quick start definitions, and these are covered in more detail in a previous video. What is Pathways? Pathways is the main Toastmasters International Learning curriculum. Secondly, what is a path? And that is one of the 11 separate curricula offered within Pathways. And finally, what is Basecamp? It's the online platform Pathways uses. What is a project that we've been talking about? What is that? This includes the speech or speeches and other tasks required for completion and credit within your Pathways. We're going to talk first about finding the evaluation resource within your project. This is a review from that previous video, completing a project. So here we are within, in this case, the leadership development path, and we are in level 1, just about to click on launching the icebreaker. And then we've utilized the quick access toolbar, again referred to in a previous video, the way that you can get to any place, anytime within the project window. You can see we click on your evaluation. Once you do that, you click on evaluation resource. And that again is all reviewed from the previous video. However, the new information is finding it at what's called the Speech Evaluations tab. Now before we jump in, I need to tell you about some Basecamp navigation tips. From anywhere within the Basecamp home screen, anywhere within Basecamp for that matter, which is the online platform that Pathways uses, you can access the Home tab. We're going to show you about this in just a second, but that becomes relevant because it's here at the Home tab or the home screen of your Basecamp that you're going to find Speech Evaluations, the tab that you'll be clicking on. Next, you can also do this with the Paths and Learning tab. And then finally, you can also do this with something called Tutorials and Resources. However, if you are at the beginning level, I don't recommend clicking on that because it can be a little hard to navigate through there and get back. It's a little complicated. But of course, if you want to do it, please do. Just be aware that it might have a little bit of complication in being able to get back to where you want to be. Here are those 3 tabs that we talked about at the top there in the top left. We got the Home, Paths in Learning, and Tutorials and Resources. Something I want to mention that was a little bit confusing for me the first time, and others I think as well, is once you put your mouse over one of those, so for example in this case the Home tab, you actually will see just below that an image Home as it's pointing to in the arrow. You need to click on that actually, but not on the original one. It's a little wonky in that way, but that's how you do it. And here we are diving in. There from the home screen in your Basecamp is the option for Speech Evaluations. What is so cool about this is every evaluation of every project and every path is available in this screen. It's very, very powerful. there are some things that I need to tell you about this. 3 scenarios, as I call them. The first one is if it's your first time launching a given speech evaluation form. Secondly, if you've accessed it previously and it's labeled as completed, whether mistakenly or on purpose. And then finally, there's another scenario where it might be accessed previously and labeled as in progress. The good news is there's a solution for each one of those. Here's the first one. It's your first time launching a given speech evaluation form. Let's just say you scrolled down and you found the power of humor in an impromptu speech. So naturally you would click on that. And this brings you to this screen here, where you get a little description of the speech itself. And as we mentioned earlier, the evaluation form is just also called the evaluation resource. And you can see that you have the option to click on launch. You learned about that term in a previous video in opening a project in particular, but launch just means we're going to start this particular activity. And here we are. That brings us to the form itself. Success. Okay, scenario 2. What if it's been accessed previously and labeled as completed? So let's say now you are a responsible member in your club. You have a fellow member that you're going to be evaluating. You know they're going to be doing the icebreaker. You think, hey, I'll just download it myself. So you go to the Speech Evaluations tab and select Icebreaker. But maybe you've accessed this before. And if that's the case, you might run into this. But I'll tell you, this is actually fairly common. You see this, it says completed. Training was successfully completed and recorded to your transcript. And now instead of launch, it says request. What does that mean? Well, several people have thought, well, it's just a bug. It's gone somewhere, nobody knows where it is. Actually, that is not the case. It's because it was accessed previously and somehow along the way it got marked as completed. But no problem. You actually will click on request. It might sound like, oh God, it's going to go to the VPE and all this. It's actually all within your control. So you click on request in this case, and then it's going to warn you again. Just simply click on request, because this is precisely what you need to do to access the form. And then you can see you're now given the option to launch. Success. And you can see there's the form. The third scenario. This one might be where, okay, you just did what I said. You're about to evaluate yet another member in your club that's doing the icebreaker. You're like, oh, good. Well, I solved it last time, so I'm good. So you, in good faith, click on Icebreaker again from that same Speech Evaluations tab. And now it says in progress. And it's like, what? What do you mean? How could it be in progress? I didn't do anything with it. That is what will happen if you've accessed it previously and we're careful even not to mark it as complete. So it is now showing you in progress, mark complete. But don't mark it complete because you'll just be back to scenario 1. So you click on the down arrow where it says mark complete, and you'll see this option here, launch. Then simply click launch, and naturally now you have access to that form. As promised, once you have success, you have this form, you're ready to now fill this out, and you want to at some point send it to your member. So here we are. You've successfully been able to access the icebreaker form, and I was using Firefox at this time, and you can see that there's an arrow pointing to the download button. That's something you need to do if you want to actually fill this out to be able to give to a member. So what you want to do is click on download wherever that is for your browser, internet browser. Then you'll want to, once you've downloaded it, open it wherever that is located on your computer's hard drive. Once you've done that, now you'll be able to fill in the information if in fact the PDF is fillable. Some PDFs may not be. I'll tell you this from experience. If you get your evaluation form from the first way, from your project window, some of those are not fillable, in which case you would just print it out, write in whatever details you wanted, either give it to them in person or scan it and email it to them. However, from the speech evaluations tab, most of them are actually fillable, in which case you can see with all the arrows I've just filled some things out, and then further down the form there are things that you'll fill out as well as the evaluator. But if you're going to use the writing feature of the PDF and fillable, one of three things needs to happen. You need to click save afterward, save as, or print in some fashion. I've had members do evaluations for me and they send me this great blank evaluation form because they didn't do one of these three things from this PDF that was on their hard drive. So please be aware of that. At this point, you have successfully done what you needed to do, and I just realized none of my other videos did I tell you how to log out, so I'm going to pop that in this one if I can. So logging out needs to be done in two places. The first one is from your Basecamp window or tab, and then secondly from the Toastmasters.org page. So here it is in Basecamp. If you look to the far right, you'll see that gear that's indicated up to the right there. When you put your mouse over that, you will have the option to log out, as you can see indicated there. So you want to click on log out. That will bring you to this screen, which is your Toastmasters.org when you first logged in. Just click on log out at that point.